I'm Helga from Helga's Pennsylvania Cooking. Today we're going to attempt something different. I've never made this before, but my mama's birthday is tomorrow. We're going to celebrate today, and she loves maple. I mean crazy maple. I mean, she grew up with a sugar shack in the family, so I guess it's understandable, but totally nuts about maple. So I'm going to attempt this maple cake with a maple liqueur, maple frosting, a Swiss buttercream frosting, which is really tricky, and maple streusel topping. The cake and the streusel part I'm not worried about. The Swiss buttercream is a trickier thing. So if that doesn't work out, she'll get another kind of frosting. So anyhow, we're going to give it a shot, and if it's a success, we'll find out. She's going to be the taste tester. She's going to be the taste tester. So let's give it a shot and let's see what goes into this. I got this recipe, by the way, off of I Live Cake. She's fabulous, and I wanted to talk a bit about her in one sense. When I did my coconut cake video, I think I told you guys that, you know, topping the cakes off to get them nice and even is such a pain. So I was reading her blog, and she told me about a really cool little hack, and it's these. Alright, you soak these in water 10 to 15 minutes, which I'm going to put them in here next. Soak these in water 10 to 15 minutes. They go around your cake pan, Velcro right around your cake pan, and helps your cake from getting that hump in the middle. The reason a cake will get the hump in the middle or top is because the outsides of the pan, you know, they bake first, baking in towards the center. So as they bake and become dry, they push the more not done liquid center up, which is what gives you your cake hump. So this helps all of it to cook evenly at the same rate, so you have a flat cake. We're going to find out if it works. I'm really praying that it does. And my oven is preheating at 350 degrees. And I have 2 cake pans greased and floured. You can go an added layer and put parchment paper in if you like. If you want to do a tall layer cake, take this recipe and do another half on top of that to give you the taller cake layers. I'm just doing the standard 2 cake pan layer cake. So I'm going to get these soaking, and then I'll show you what goes into this. So for the cake part, I've got 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, some baking powder, salt, 3 eggs, 1 cup of good quality maple syrup, 1/4 cup of maple bourbon. You heard me, maple bourbon. Liqueur, maple liqueur. Brown sugar, vanilla, and butter. This is the cake part, and it's going to take a couple steps. So one of the things I'm going to do first is it tells me to combine my maple syrup, and that's good New York maple syrup that our friend Joe, he taps his trees, and we get our maple syrup from him every year, and it's wonderful. And then the maple bourbon. And I'll give that a mix before we incorporate it into the recipe. The next thing is we're going to take our flour, salt, and baking powder. Combine those and whisk them together good. And as with all my recipes, the description for this, the recipe for the cake and all its goodies, will be in the description below the video. Okay, now that's ready to go. Now for the next part. So next we're going to cream our butter, and brown sugar using the paddle attachment on your mixer. And that's nice and fluffy. So we're going to add our eggs one at a time and beat them in. And the vanilla. Next we're going to start adding our flour and maple in alternating shots here. So our cake batter is done, and I scraped it down in between too, so you can get a see here for the batter. And we're going to put her in our pans and get her in the oven. So I wrung these out, you wring them out good, and then I put them on. And I will say mine are just have a slight angle on them. Straight cake pans would actually be better for these, but it still works. They still went on fine, and I'm going to put these in the oven. The recipe calls for around 30-35 minutes, but black pans tend to bake faster, so I'm going to check these probably starting at 20 minutes. My cakes are out of the oven, and I gotta say, those strips work. They're nice and flat. So they're going to cool on the rack here about 10-15 minutes. I'll turn them out to let them finish cooling. Next, we're going to work on the streusel. So I'm going to take my flour and my maple sugar, and we're going to whisk those together. And then we're going to add the half a cup or 1 stick of melted butter. And get that so it's clumping up good. Fork tops this. And we're going to add this to parchment paper on a cookie sheet and spread out crumbles. There we go. Spread out in crumbles and bake at 350. You can break it apart like bark later. And here it is spread out on the parchment paper on the cookie sheet. I'm going to put this in the oven at 350. So the cake came out. I put my streusel in the oven at 350 degrees for roughly 8 minutes. Now comes the scary part. Now comes the egg whites and trying to make the buttercream. So first off, I did each egg, and there's 6 of them, into these cups. No yolk whatsoever. Even a pin drop of yolk will ruin this. And I actually used my fancy dancy pampered chef egg separator, because when you need precise separation, this is the tool. Those cheapos or doing it the old-fashioned way with my hands just wasn't going to cut it for this. So, and I do it separately so that if one is ruined, you're not ruining all of them, thereby wasting lots of eggs. And like I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull this off, but we're going to give it a shot. I'm then going to add my maple sugar to this, and we're going to whisk this up. I gotta tell you, that maple sugar is very sweet. Now we're gonna whisk this until it's combined. I'm just gonna scrape down once to make sure it's all in. And then the really scary part comes. We put it over the double boiler. Okay, big scary part. We're going to place this over a double boiler and we're going to keep whisking it constantly until the mixture's hot and no longer grainy. This takes about 3 minutes, so your arm's going to get a workout. We're getting there. And looks like we're getting all the grain out of it. It's looking pretty smooth. One more minute. You can also use a candy thermometer around 160 degrees for this. You want to make sure it's hot. And that looks all nice and melted actually. So that was about 3 minutes. So on to the next step, do or die. And we're going to bring this up and we're going to whisk on medium-high until it's cool and hopefully stiff. This may take 5 to 10 minutes. So it's been about 10 minutes. And I want you to see this. Woohoo! It's nice and stiff. So now we're going to add the butter and work on that part. We're almost there. I'm going to switch to the paddle attachment and we'll start working on adding our butter. I'm going to scrape down one more time. Make sure we have everything incorporated evenly. But it's looking pretty darn wonderful. I'm pretty tickled because I haven't done a more complex thing like this for a while. And you kind of get rusty. But by golly, I think that came out quite the bomb. That's a beautiful buttercream. Very happy. And that's a wrap for that. My streusel is out and I am going to stick that in the fridge. Oh boy, that's pretty darn good. I'm going to stick that in the fridge to finish letting that get nice and chilled down. But I'm surprised. This has a good maple flavor, but it's not overly sweet. I'm kind of surprised. So there's what she looks like, the maple buttercream. And like I said, I'm going to put the streusel in to finish chilling so we can break it up in pieces. And cake assembly comes up next. Now I'm going to spread the first layer with some of the frosting, and we'll crumble some streusel for the middle. And as you can see, those baking pan strips really work. Look how nice and flat that is. No more cutting the top off of cakes ever again for me. Like I said, I got this recipe from I Live Cakes. She is fabulous. I've learned a lot from her, including the hacks on how to do this buttercream right. Buttercreams are fickle to begin with, and American buttercream is made more like typical meringue is, whereas the Swiss buttercream has the added element to it that makes it really finicky. And like I said, as far as separating those eggs, absolutely critical that no egg yolk is in that whatsoever, because just the smallest bit of fat will totally ruin your basically your meringue, and yeah, you have to start all over. There's no saving it. So I was pretty darn tickled, although I gotta tell you, I had butter and eggs on standby to try again if I needed to. And this is what that looks like, and I'm just gonna break these in larger pieces like that, and we're gonna spread these on. I don't know if Mom's gonna like this or not, but I hope she does. This is some cake. And you can add, another thing you can do, you can add actually maple syrup, drizzle a couple tablespoons over the cake for a really, really mapley moist cake. And you can also add, like, pecans would be good with this. Pecans. Try and get this kind of even, press it down in. And try and keep it even, because your next layer is going to sit on that. You don't want it to go wonky on you. So there we go. Okay, put the next layer on. Here we go. Look at that. Beautiful flat top. Another thing you can do is, if you wanted this to be truly white, so it's more aesthetically pleasing, if that's what you're going for, you can add just a tint. And when I say a tint, I mean like drag your toothpick through blue food coloring and that's it. And put that on, and that'll bring this out to a white. I wasn't worried about it because it's maple. So I would expect it to be more of a mapley brown color. As long as it tastes good, that's my main achievement this time. Okay guys, we're in a home stretch. I'm not a beautiful cake decorator, but this is good enough. And I'm gonna just add a bunch more of the streusel here on top. Try and keep the little rosettes. Done. Streusel gives it a nice crunch. It won't be too sweet for my mom, because my mom likes things ridiculously sweet. Me, not so much. But I don't think this is a bad effort. It came out. I hope it tastes good. The batter tasted good. The frosting tasted good. It actually isn't overly sweet, being a buttercream, so that's pretty cool. And we'll do that just to be fancy. There we go, folks. A maple cake with maple Swiss buttercream frosting and maple streusel. Well, you know what comes next, but you have to wait till Mom gets here for that. She's going to be the taste tester today. Alright, so I tried something that's kind of technical and new. Never made it before.
Boy, it's beautiful, whatever it is.
This is, hang on.
Oh my God.
This is a maple bourbon cake with maple Swiss buttercream and maple streusel topping.
Oh. Was this in the Yankee magazine?
No.
They had a maple cake in there that I thought would, and it sounds similar to this.
No.
Oh my God, it's beautiful.
I found this somewhere else. First, since you're the birthday girl, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mom. Happy birthday to you. Everybody's in. Alright. So I'm gonna just cut this on the side.
Well, it wins a 10 for
I'm
beauty in itself.
I am rusty in my cake skills.
Boy, oh boy. You want to taste this too, don't you? You like to taste this too.
So, let me get a fork. And you can try it out. What? Yep. You want to try this?
Have a small slice of it. If I have coffee with mine, I'll keep going.
You want coffee, Mom?
Please. This is orgasmic.
Well, let's not get ridiculous.
Mmm.
Is it?
Oh, my favorite's maple, and this is just a gentle, rich maple flavor.
You know
Oh,
what?
my.
It wasn't as nearly as overly sweet as I thought it would be.
It's not oversweet.
I thought it would be disgusting, and it's actually not.
You thought it would be disgusting? You made me a cake you thought would be disgusting?
For me, I don't get into that.
Mmm. Oh, man. Helga, this is maybe one of the best cakes I ever had in my whole life.
I really,
believe this is the best cake I ever ate in my life.
well, I think I could probably.
Your father would be really proud of you.
So there it is. The maple cake, maple bourbon cake with maple Swiss buttercream frosting and maple strudel. It's a win. I'll include the recipe in the description below like I always do. Thanks, Mom. Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.